It says.
On World News Tonight this Tuesday, the outline of a real agreement to end the war in Kosovo.
Stop what you're doing.
The 50,000-volt stun belt to discipline prisoners in the U.S. Amnesty International calls them inhuman. Carded at the box office, photo IDs for R-rated movies. And our closer look this week at mental health in America.
From ABC News, this is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings. Reporting tonight from Macedonia.
Good evening from Macedonia. For the first time tonight, there is a real feeling here that peace may be at hand, that the killing in Kosovo may stop, that NATO might stop bombing Yugoslavia for good, and that hundreds of thousands of displaced people may dare think about life again. Here is what the NATO alliance, China and Russia and Yugoslavia, have planned for the next several days. A draft resolution to end the war has been delivered to the UN Security Council. Military officers from NATO and the Yugoslav army are meeting again on the border here to coordinate their operations. Before long, NATO troops will be advancing in the direction of Kosovo, and the Yugoslav forces are supposed to start withdrawing from Kosovo. When that is verified, NATO will stop bombing Yugoslavia. This could be well underway by Thursday. And then, having accommodated China and Russia, who said they would not support any of this until the bombing stopped, the UN Security Council will vote on the resolution to settle the Kosovo conflict. And then the first NATO forces will enter Kosovo to make it a safer place than it has been for a very, very long time. With more, here's ABC's Sam Donaldson.
All the Kosovo dominoes began falling NATO's way this evening as top Yugoslav and NATO commanders resumed discussions in a tent on the Macedonian border, with the expectation that they could sign a final military agreement for the withdrawal of Serbian forces from Kosovo. And at the Pentagon...
First of all, we are just beginning to see signs of preparation for withdrawal.
A withdrawal made easier militarily by a pledge from Kosovo Liberation Army commanders that they will not harass retreating Serbian forces. A withdrawal made easier diplomatically when key industrial nations, including Russia, agreed on the wording of the UN resolution on Kosovo.
The bottom line in assessing the last 24 hours here is that we got what we came for.
The resolution placed before the UN Security Council does not specifically mention NATO when it calls for a UN peacekeeping force. But U.S. officials say NATO's central role is understood. President Clinton talked to Russia's Boris Yeltsin today and gave in to Yeltsin's insistence that Russian troops joining the peacekeeping force will not be directly under NATO control. The president said he thinks final details for removing Serbian forces and installing international forces in Kosovo are within reach.
When there is evidence that the full withdrawal has begun, we will suspend the bombing.
White House officials believe Slobodan Milosevic now recognizes he has no choice but to comply, and that the next 24 to 48 hours could see a rapid sequence of events that would bring an end to the hostilities. If so, it would bring for President Clinton both a big victory and a big sigh of relief. Sam Donaldson, ABC News, the White House.
This is John McWethy at the Pentagon. 2,000 U.S. Marines are expected to go ashore tomorrow morning in Greece and begin heading by road through Macedonia toward Kosovo.
I'm looking forward to going to Kosovo because it's nice to be helping out people. That's just about the only reason I'd be wanting to go there.
The initial U.S. force will also include 1,700 Army troops and 8 of the Apache helicopters in Albania that were never used during the air campaign. The first NATO troops into Kosovo will not be American. They will be British.
The chief hazard is the mines and the unexploded ordnance. Exactly where all that is, we don't know precisely at the moment.
And NATO troops could face another hazard. While they are moving in, heavily armed Yugoslav soldiers will be on the same roads pulling out. Officials say there may be times when they are face to face. John McWethy, ABC News, the Pentagon.
Throughout Yugoslavia tonight, where resentment of Mr. Milosevic is already very sharp, there may be another reason for anger. If NATO sources are correct, hundreds of Yugoslav troops may have been killed in a B-52 bombing raid near the Albanian border after Yugoslavia was slow to begin the retreat from Kosovo, which it had agreed to. The men were reportedly caught in the open. This part of the world, it must be said, encourages a certain cynicism. So many people dislike each other, even revile one another. The Serbs said again today that the only people who will be allowed back into Kosovo will be those who can prove they are from Kosovo. And the Serbs had a whole campaign of identity cleansing. Here's ABC's Terry Moran.
It happened to tens of thousands of these people as they were driven out of Kosovo. They took our identification cards and other documents, says this woman, and then destroyed them all.
They say, give me the papers, the personal papers.
It was a Serb tactic clearly aimed at keeping ethnic Albanians out of Kosovo permanently. In Germany today, Secretary of State Madeleine Albright said it would not work.
The Serbs will in no way be able to control who goes back into Kosovo. Those people that have whose identity papers were removed have in fact been reissued identity papers by the UNHCR.
But UN officials say they have barely begun issuing the papers.
It's a huge job. The whole return process will just be one of the most overwhelming challenges that we will ever face in the humanitarian world.
And the challenge involves more than just getting the refugees across the border. Without their personal papers, many of the people here and more in the refugee camps in Albania can't prove the most basic facts about themselves that the rest of us take for granted. That they are married, that they own property, have the right to vote, that they were ever citizens of their own homeland. It is one more aspect of the catastrophe here. So many of these people erased from the record of civil society. Terry Moran, ABC News at the Shgrane refugee camp.
Later in the broadcast, the real possibility that many refugees here will still have to contend with ice and snow. When World News Tonight continues, Connie Chung, who's in New York, will have some of the day's other news.
This is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings, brought to you by Chevy Trucks.
Chevy Tahoe, like a rock.
With locations in over 1,800 cities and towns, there's always a Days Inn hotel nearby. Wherever you're going, wherever you're from. Days Inn. There you go.
Got heartburn caused by acid reflux? Only Gaviscon forms a soothing protective barrier that keeps acid down. Pepcid AC and Zantac 75 can't do that. Gaviscon. It helps keep acid down where it belongs.
I'm 64. Is there anything I can do to stop bone loss?
Absolutely. Here's proof. In a landmark clinical study, Caltrate actually stopped bone loss in women at risk for osteoporosis, whatever your age.
It's never too late for Caltrate.
In New York City today, a verdict in the police brutality case that has received national attention. Officer Charles Schwartz was convicted of beating a Haitian immigrant, Abner Louima, and holding him down while another officer tortured him. That officer pleaded guilty last month. 3 others were acquitted of lesser charges. The human rights group Amnesty International today called for a ban on high-tech device used to control prisoners. The device already being used by police and prison guards in dozens of states. ABC's John Miller has the details.
Mike Godwin is about to get the shock of his life.
Stop what you're doing.
The electrical shock came from the stun belt around Godwin's waist. More and more police and prison officials are using this device to keep potentially violent prisoners under control. Godwin is a cop, not a prisoner, but the manufacturer requires the training officer of any agency buying the belt to try it out on themselves.
For 8 seconds, it's not something that you would want to go through, but it is not torture.
Amnesty International believes it is just that. The belt sends a shock of 50,000 volts and leaves no marks, which is why critics say the belt may encourage police brutality by remote control.
From our point of view, high-tech torture is just as serious a problem as low-tech torture in the form of batons or broom handles.
The Amnesty International report points to 2 documented cases of misuse. A prisoner in this New Orleans jail was shocked when an officer set the belt off accidentally. In Los Angeles, a judge ordered officers to shock a defendant who repeatedly ignored the judge's order to stop talking. The use of the stun belt has already been banned by 3 states, but across the country, more police agencies are buying them in the belief that they may cause less injury than the tools they're working with now: fists, nightsticks, and pepper spray. John Miller, ABC News, New York.
Other news today, kids who want to see R-rated movies better be ready to show some ID. At the White House today, President Clinton won a promise from theater owners to card kids trying to get into certain films. ABC's Jackie Judd reports it's part of Washington's effort to be seen as protecting kids from violence.
Okay, so what do you need besides a miracle?
Guns. Lots of guns.
Hundreds of R-rated movies, such as the blockbuster Matrix, come out every year. And in theory, children under 17 who are not with an adult cannot get in. Movie theater owners today pledge to actually enforce that rule by requiring youngsters to prove their age at the ticket booth with picture IDs.
From now on, parents will know that the R rating means what it is supposed to mean, restricted.
But even the theater owners conceded that underage children, once inside a multiplex, can still slip into a theater showing an R-rated picture.
We will do the very best we can to see that that does not happen.
Shielding children from violence occupied Capitol Hill today as well. Republican Henry Hyde announced a sweeping proposal to outlaw the sale to children of extremely explicit sexual or violent material in CDs, movies, books, and games. Its future is very uncertain. Democrats and some Republicans are worried that in the interest of protecting children, Congress might be violating the First Amendment. Jackie Judd, ABC News, Washington.
In our next segment, sweltering heat in the east, drought in many other places. Just wait until summer really starts.
Where will you be when your grandson gets his first taste of the ocean? When man walks on Mars? When your children want to discover their heritage? Life is filled with moments you don't want to miss. That's why if you have high cholesterol and heart disease, you should know about Zocor. Zocor is proven to help save lives by reducing the risk of a heart attack. So where will you be tomorrow? That could depend on what you do today. When diet and exercise aren't enough, talk to your doctor about adding Zocor. Zocor is a prescription medication and is not right for everyone, including women who are nursing, pregnant, or may become pregnant, or people with liver problems. Your doctor may do blood tests to check for liver problems, because serious side effects can result. Tell your doctor about any muscle pain or weakness you experience while on Zocor, and about any medicines you are taking. For more information, talk to your doctor or call. Zocor, it's your future. Be there.
Nancy will have to see from near to far almost 1,000 times today. Her eyes will focus on 40 labels, 60 charts, and 100 smiles. And in all that time, she'll never once think about the science that allows her to focus instantly at all distances. Nancy just knows that her Verilux lenses help her see better. And for her, that's a very comforting thought. Verilux, the comfort of better vision. For more information, call toll-free 1-800-VERILUX.
Around here, it's not every day we all get together.
We're making them dinner. Come on, you guys.
But when we do, it's great that the folks at Kraft make Italian.
I love this stuff.
Because it's the one thing we agree on. That way, we can talk about what's on our minds instead of what's on our plates.
Whose idea was this? Well, Kale has a boyfriend.
I guess they just know what we like.
A what? He's a senior. He's a senior.
Around here, the dressing is Kraft. For something different, try one of Kraft's new vinaigrettes.
Along much of the eastern seaboard today, there were record high temperatures. 6 New England states have declared a state of emergency because of the enormous demands on the power grid. ABC's Ned Potter reports the weather problems extend beyond the heat.
boiling this afternoon. The mercury is going to soar near 100 degrees.
The streets of Washington are sizzling. In Boston, they sent 40,000 state workers home. Heat waves come and go, but there's also drought now, and it's going nowhere. Carolina farmers are talking about dying crops before they're even planted. Dry weather has made a giant broken arc from the mid-Atlantic to the southeast to Arizona, and the government's climate forecasters said today they do not see an end coming.
This is a serious drought. We expect some short-term partial relief and maybe some longer-term relief, but there's no question that we're in a very difficult situation right now.
Meanwhile, California has had heavy rain where it ought to be sunny. And if you want something to blame, there's no single reason, but look at this satellite image of the Pacific Ocean. That giant blue and purple blob is the cold water of La Nina. Climatologists thought it would be gone by now. Instead, they say La Nina may strengthen and last through fall.
The climate is really still seriously out of balance, and so we're seeing unusual weather across the globe.
Ironically, the La Nina that's helping cause the mid-Atlantic drought may supply the rain to end it. The bad news is that it could be in the form of a hurricane. Forecasters have already said La Nina will likely cause more storms than usual to hit the East Coast. Ned Potter, ABC News, New York.
On the money tonight, it's getting harder to know when to buy an airline ticket. Just last week, the major airlines raised fares again. Today, new cuts. United will cut as much as 25%. 6 other airlines quickly followed suit. The number of businesses owned by women has increased by more than 40% in the last 7 years. A new survey finds that 30% of women say they started a business for greater freedom. 13% say money was the primary factor. On Wall Street today, the Dow Jones Industrial Average was down more than 143 points to close at 10,765. On the Nasdaq, stocks were down about 49 points. A government panel has recommended today that all new cars come equipped with a release mechanism inside the trunk by the year 2001. 11 children climbed inside trunks and died from the heat last summer. In a moment, old, depressed, and undiagnosed. A closer look at depression and the elderly.
Summer. Time to get busy with Red Lobster's 30 shrimp dinner for $9.99. 2 choices, 30 shrimp, $9.99. Escape to Red Lobster.
If you wear dentures, imagine how nervous teaching teenagers could make you feel. What if your dentures slipped? But thanks to the all-day hold of Super Polygrip, those days are over. I think that says a lot about the power of Polygrip.
Sir, I need your vehicle. I need to get to 84th and Adams. Seville SDS, most powerful front-wheel drive car in the world, right?
Yeah, beat the 540i in the slalom.
I knew that. Big fan of the North Star system. StabiliTrak almost reads your mind when it comes to control.
That was close.
Trust me, I'm with the government.
Seville STS, it's what's next.
Shouldn't you be getting out?
Oh, they'll be all right.
Courage. Something shared by countless Americans. Those who risked their lives. Those who battled serious illness. When I was diagnosed with prostate cancer, I was primarily concerned with ridding myself of the cancer. But secondly, I was concerned about possible post-operative side effects like erectile dysfunction, ED, often called impotence. You know, it's a little embarrassing to talk about ED, but it's so important to millions of men and their partners that I decided to talk about it publicly. And after all, it can be associated with many conditions, including prostate surgery, high blood pressure, diabetes, or even smoking. And the point I want to make is there are many treatments available for ED, so my advice is get a medical checkup. It's the best way to get educated about ED and what can be done to treat it. It may take a little courage, but I've always found that everything worthwhile does.
So, Murray, did you hear?
About Nick across the way?
Yeah, got sprayed.
Didn't he just get sprayed?
Yeah, but didn't get the roots. Whatever got him this time was different.
I didn't think anything could take old Nick.
Hey, next time, it could be us.
Roundup, no root, no weed, no problem.
We're taking a closer look at the nation's state of mind this week. Mental illness in America. One of the biggest hurdles in treating mental illness is recognizing that someone has a problem or admitting you have one yourself. This is especially true of the elderly. About 1 in 4 older Americans suffers from some kind of mental illness. An estimated 5 million are clinically depressed. ABC's Jane Clayson reports tonight a disturbing number of these people who really need help never get it.
Whether in her garden, at an art show, or on the tennis court, 70-year-old Barbara Stone is outgoing, involved, obviously happy. But 1 year ago, she was seriously depressed.
I just couldn't find a place for me in this world. I think that's pretty much it.
Barbara Stone got help.
You like it?
But psychologists say the majority of elderly people who suffer from mental illness rarely get it treated. Most never admit it.
Being depressed, you just don't pick up the phone and call anybody and say, help me.
Many of the elderly view mental problems as a weakness, not an illness.
They don't see psychiatric problems as being part of the way that their brain is functioning, in the way that they might see congestive heart failure or hypertension as being a function of the way that their heart functions.
Depression is the most common form of mental illness among the elderly, yet 70% of those patients go unrecognized and untreated.
Now close your eyes again.
Elderly who are depressed are more likely to complain about physical ailments and visit their family doctor rather than a psychologist or a psychiatrist.
Okay.
So researchers at UCLA are trying to help family doctors diagnose depression more easily and treat it more quickly.
Hold your eyes very steady.
One way to do that is by using electrodes to measure brain activity before and after medication, which will help predict which drug is most effective for each patient.
We've learned that if we don't pick the right drug first, that unfortunately people may get discouraged. They may say, I never should have come into treatment to begin with.
With depression, discouragement can be deadly. The elderly make up 13% of the population, but account for 25% of the suicides. Those who need help the most are least likely to get it.
There we go.
Those who do can fully recover. Barbara Stone is back, doing what she loves.
The garden really suffered when I suffered, that's for sure. Because I didn't care for it, I didn't care for myself, I guess, in the same way.
Now both are thriving.
Smell it. Beautiful.
Jane Clayson, ABC News, Los Angeles.
Tomorrow, what's the right treatment for mental illness? Pills may be easy and cheap, but they're not always the best solution. Now back once again to Peter Jennings in Macedonia.
When we come back, a final note about winter. Yes, even before summer, they are worried here about winter.
There's nutrition news about heart disease. The B vitamin folic acid may help reduce homocysteine levels in the blood, an emerging risk factor for heart disease. And Centrum Silver has folic acid.
Centrum Silver. It's a great time to be silver.
I'll be seeing you in all the old familiar places that this heart of mine.
Have you seen Transitions lenses lately? Indoors, the changing tint is clearer. Outdoors, they're the darkest Transitions lenses ever. For all-day comfort and convenience, Transitions lenses, right in any light. Come to JCPenney Optical and get free frames, up to $119 when you buy Transitions lenses.
Bear Gel Caps, the only gel cap that can help save your life. New Bear Gel Caps, powerful pain relief, and so much more.
With Days Inn hotels in over 1,800 cities and towns, finding a place to stay doesn't take a federal investigation. Days Inn, there you go.
Tomorrow on Good Morning America, President and Mrs. Bush on their life outside the White House and how their son's political future could bring it all back. Diane Sawyer, Charles Gibson, Good Morning America.
Finally this evening from Macedonia again. The news of an agreement to really end the war has not generated wild enthusiasm here. So many refugees seem to understand they're a long way from picking up their lives where they left off. Their homes, their water supplies, their electricity, their roads, they've all been so badly damaged. The international relief community wants to get people home as quickly as it possibly can. But there was a big meeting here only yesterday to make plans for a lot of people they think will be outside Kosovo when winter comes. When aid workers here want to conjure up a new nightmare, they imagine Shigrani covered in ice and snow. As miserable as it is for 40,000 people in this camp today, winter would be infinitely worse. 200 trucks a day struggle up this hill every day with water. Sarah Bish is an Australian water and sewage specialist. From your point of view as a water specialist, is winter going to be worse than summer?
Yes. At the moment, our problem is meeting demand. The water use is very high in this camp, but in winter it's the actual distribution. We will have the water here, but it's getting it to the people.
They can bury the main pipes, maybe, but at 20 degrees, water and sewage here will freeze. There've never been any showers here, so that's not an issue. But today they were putting sloped roofs on the latrines. That way the snow will slide off. And then there is the matter of the tents. These light-colored tents from USAID are the best tents in the camp in the summertime because they're very cool, or at least they're cooler than the others. In the winter, they'll be absolutely useless. And in the winter, you can't put a stove in a tent. The fear of fire in a tent community is very real. There is nothing about these camps that won't be worse in the winter. And so the relief community must look for other solutions. 40% of Kosovo Albanians have lived with friends and family in Macedonia, but many host families are going broke. One suggestion is to put refugees in hotels. That would cost a vast sum the international agencies don't have. And even if there was hotel space, the hotels don't want them. There is some talk of using old warehouses, but we saw what that might look like in a small camp the other day, and it's a surprise that people don't riot. Moreover, the Macedonian government says unequivocally these people have got to be out of here. There should be permanent structures for the winter, he says. They should be built in Albania. It's going to be a long, hot summer in Shigrani, and you can only do so much to make a tent seem like home. And when winter comes, if these people are still here, the flowers at least will die. And that is our report on World News Tonight. We'll be here again tomorrow. I hope you'll join us then. I'm Peter Jennings. Good night from Skopje in Macedonia.
Tomorrow, forced to take pills, treating mental illness the cheapest but maybe not the best way possible. Watch ABC's World News Tonight with Peter Jennings. This has been a presentation of ABC News. More Americans get their news from ABC News than from any other source. ABCnews.com, now a part of the GO Network.
ABC Tonight has the winning comedy combo.
Get pumped.
A hilarious hour of Spin City and Sports Night. So, what are you going to watch tonight?
It's a command performance. The original cast of Les Mis accompanied by the London Philharmonic.
Ah, gay per view.
Spin City and Sports Night, the perfect match. See you tonight on ABC.
Now, News 2 at 6. First, fast, accurate.
A vehicular homicide case involving mistaken identity goes to the jury. Good evening. We'll have more on that story for you in just a moment. But we begin tonight with more on a breaking news story that we first told you about at 5.
A 2-year-old Nashville baby girl is dead tonight from severe burns, and a suspect is now charged with criminal homicide. 26-year-old Lloyd Elliott is the boyfriend of the little girl's mother. Authorities were called to their North Nashville home Sunday, where they found little Abrea Russell scalded in the tub with burns over 60% of her body. The little girl died at 10:30 this morning.